This tutorial is for this granny square motif that I'm calling the lacy granny square. I've used it recently in a summer top design, so I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Christina from City Bright Knits. Subscribe if you want to hear more. The Summer Rainbows top is a new pattern that you can find on hobby.com that I have created and designed using these lacy granny squares. Just search City Bright Knits on their website to pull up the pattern. The next design that I'm working on with these same granny square motifs is called the Alpine Blanket. It's themed about summer in the Alps with wildflowers and rivers. So I'll show you the yarns that I'm using as well as the colors I've selected before we get started. The that I use for the Summer Rainbows top is from hobby.com and it's called Friends Cotton 8/4 Print. It is a DK weight yarn, so it's quite thin to work with, but a beautiful color. The colors that I'm using to make the Alpine Blanket are Pastel Green 100 and Pistachio 108. It's Friends Cotton 8/8 solid, so it's slightly thicker, but it's still a DK weight yarn. To crochet this motif, you're going to need two colors. I like to use contrasting colors like this pistachio and pastel green. Whatever crochet hook matches your yarn. For me, that's a 6.5 millimeter hook. To get started, you're going to use your lighter contrasting color in the center, and you're going to create a slip knot just like you would to start any granny square. I'm going to show you. This is going to be the center, and then you're going to work out in different rounds. I do 7 rounds for my squares, and you build a shell cluster of 7 double crochet on each round. So you're going to be increasing 4 shells per round, beginning with the second round has 4, the fourth round will have 8, and so on. So each row is going to basically add a 7 double crochet cluster shell stitch into each round. We're starting here in the center with the lighter color contrasting yarn, and we're going to be working this row of shell stitches. So the lighter contrasting yarn is round 1, the pistachio green is round 2, the lighter contrasting yarn is round 3, and so on. So the lighter color yarns are around, they just look a lot smaller than the shell rows. We're going to start in the center, and then we're going to pick up with this outer row so you can see the motif at large. Starting with your hook and your slip knot, you can create a magic circle, or if you have trouble creating a magic circle, you can simply chain 3 and slip stitch into that first chain to create a circle. However you like to do it, sometimes people find that a little easier. Into the center, you are basically going to be putting 8 double crochet. To do that, you chain 2, which counts as a double crochet stitch. Chain a third, which will count as a space. Yarn over, double crochet into that circle that you've created. So now you have 1 double crochet created by the chain 2, the chain 3 is a space, and then a second double crochet. Chain 1, because you're always going to have a chain 1 space between the double crochet post, double crochet again, and you're going to repeat this until you have 8 double crochet in the center of your circle, separated by a chain 1 space. Join that with a slip stitch, and now you have a circle or a wheel where we will get started working our shell clusters into these chain spaces. To do this, you are going to join your darker contrasting yarn, which for me is this pistachio color. Create a slip knot to put onto your hook. You have both colors now on the hook. Put the tails behind so that you are only working with the working yarn, and you are going to pull the new color through to secure it, And a trick I like to do is to go ahead and just make a single crochet in that space because it ends up blending in and it secures the yarn so your tails don't come loose anyways. So you are going to be working 7 double crochet into this chain space. Chain 2 to get started. The chain 2 will count as 1 double crochet and include 6 more double crochet into that space for 7 total. We're going to call this a 7 cluster shell. You can see that you have your wheel that you got started with and then 7 double crochet into that chain 1 space. Into the next chain 1 space, you are going to be working a single crochet. Into the next chain 1 space, you are going to create another 7 cluster shell by double crocheting 7 into that space. You can see how this is starting to take shape, and like I said, every round is going to increase by 4 shells on each side of the square. Into the next chain 1 space of the previous round, you're going to work another single crochet. And you're going to, into the next round, do another 7 shell cluster. Continue around to the end following this pattern until you have the 4 corners of this beginning of the square completed. At this stage, you are ready to work round 3. And to do that, you are going to pick back up the lighter colored contrasting yarn, which should still be attached along the back side. A trick to do this is to just pull up your contrasting yarn colors each round rather than cutting the ends. It just saves you from having to tie the knots in at the end. So holding the darker contrasting color that you've just finished working with secure, you're going to bring up the lighter contrasting yarn, pull it through the loop that you last left off, and chain 2. Chain 1, double crochet into that same space, chain 3, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet again, all into that space. What you're doing here is creating a corner and then you're going to be working into the next single crochet space. Chain 5. This gets you across the shell that you created from the previous round. And into the next single crochet, you are going to yarn over your hook and work that series of double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 3, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all into the same space. Chain 5 again. Into the next single crochet, you are going to repeat into that same space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 3, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Chain 5, into the next single crochet, you are going to work that corner series again, followed by another series of chain 5 and slip into the beginning where we all started. If you lay this out flat, you can pull the corners and see that this is creating a square. For round 4, you're going to pull up the contrasting yarn, the pistachio color that's still attached. and into this corner space where we left off, we're going to work a 7 shell cluster again. So pull up the yarn, chain 2, and then you're going to double crochet 7. Single crochet into the previous chain 3 space, double crochet 7 into the next space. This was the corner we created from the previous round. Where the chain 5 from the previous round went across that shell cluster, we're going to find the middle space by counting 3 double crochet over, and into the top of the 4th double crochet, you are going to single crochet. So insert your hook into the top of that stitch head. Count 3, 1, 2, 3. Into the top of that stitch head, you are going to insert the hook and work over this contrasting chain of 5. Grab the yarn, pull it through, and secure it into a single crochet. You've just worked over this round with the working yarn. Into this next corner, you're just going to repeat your 7 shell cluster, followed by a single crochet and another 7 shell cluster before securing to the 4th double crochet of this shell cluster. Work all the way around. As this motif starts to grow, when you are working with the lighter color contrasting yarn, you're simply going to put a V-stitch in between each 7 shell cluster. Basically, you will double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all into the previous single crochet that you worked on the previous round, followed by a chain 5, into the next single crochet. You'll follow the same motif, you're just allowing for more spaces on each row as you grow this granny square bigger and bigger. It can be as large as you want, even the size of a blanket if you desire. The corners are worked the same as you can see here, a double crochet followed by a chain 1, double crochet, chain 3, and then repeat again at the corners. As you work around growing and growing, you will just keep chaining 5 across each 7 double crochet shell cluster, followed by a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all into the previous round single crochet in the contrasting color. As you continue to grow larger, you are still going to be working the 7 shell cluster. It's just going to be worked into that V-stitch space that you are now creating between rounds. Work 7 double crochet into this space, followed by a single crochet into the top of the previous round, and another 7 shell cluster into the next space. It's the same motif for every round, you're just increasing by 4 shells each round that you make larger and larger. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to crocheting with you again soon.